Going on now is that cities across the United States of America are going into massive debt because of what they're calling police brutality bonds. That's what they're pretty much. They're
literally, if you Google it, that's what it says.
Police brutality bonds. So that's the crazy thing about the financial industry. They issue bonds for anything. There was bonds for mortgage-backed security for your home.
Yeah.
There's bonds for anything. If you really get creative, you can issue a bond. So now they actually have police brutality bonds, right? So between 2008 and 2017, we did some research. LA, $74 million and was paid in police brutality bonds.
Yep.
The insurance, the interest on that was $18 million to the holders of the bond, and taxpayers, it cost them $89 million.
Right.
So I just want people to understand that. So, all right. LA didn't have enough to pay police brutality cases.
Right. So those are the judgments and settlements.
Right. So over and above what they already have in their budget, or over and above the liability insurance.
That's the scary part too. Like, we already are saying, listen, we have a budget for it. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So now they have to go to the financial markets and issue bonds worth $71 million, right? So they take out bonds for $71 million to pay this. Because if you know what a bond is, it's like somebody's loaning you money. For them loaning you money, you're paying it back over a course of time, but it's with interest. So now the people that loaned them the money, people that loaned them $71 million, they got paid an interest of $18 million.
We're going to talk about who they are too in a sec.
They made money. They made the people that issued the bonds made $18 million on the bonds. The taxpayers ended up paying for the whole thing, because you have to pay for the bond and the interest.
Right.
So the taxpayers ended up paying $89 million. I don't know what's going on in Chicago.
Well, Chicago had a lot of high profile cases. One that comes to mind, and we're going to talk about a duration of time. So from like 2010 to 2018, we're talking almost $1 billion paid. They had the Laquan McDonald case where the young black kid was shot 16 times. And I believe the officer's name was Van Dyke or something like that, got sentenced to 6 years. There was a settlement in that case. So you got a couple of cases in Chicago that happened. From 2010 to 2017, they had $709 million in bonds. $709 million. The interest paid on those bonds was $1 billion with a B. So the taxpayers get the bill for 1.7.
It turns out that large banks, investment firms, Wall Street investment firms, small regional banks, all play a part in issuing these bonds. Some well-known companies that have played a part: Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America,
Bank of Montreal.
So they issue police brutality bonds to towns, cities, municipalities. The cities pay them over the course of time to loan them money so they can pay victims, and they actually are making money. So these companies are making money off of police brutality,
right? Because
they're getting paid interest on the bonds. So not only do you have the first layer that's making money is insurance companies for the liability claims, because insurance companies always make money. There's no way around it. Like, that's how insurance companies operate, right? So now you're paying insurance premiums. So there's insurance policies in place for police brutality. They make money. But even bigger than that, now you have financial institutions that are making money off police brutality bonds, off the interest.
Right.
So, okay. Now we have to look at, now it makes more sense why nothing has changed in the last 50 years. If anything, it's gotten worse, right? Because there's no incentive for it to stop. Not only do the police do not pay themselves, they have no financial responsibility for it at all. So that's one thing.
Like, that's crazy.
The insurance companies is actually making money on it, and now banks and financial institutions are making money on it. So if nobody's losing money as far as the cops, and people are making millions and billions of dollars,
right,
why would there ever be a real incentive to change police brutality?
And then all that, right? If this was chess, right? If we said that those are all the players, we got to figure out where are we at on that chessboard.
Just pawns getting moved around. That's the reality of it. And most people don't realize it. We're in a political season, right? And you're asking these politicians, you're demanding these politicians for these things, right? but a lot of times you asking them and you demanding them for wrong things.